If nobody else is going to have the balls to say it, then I will, damn it. This section of the Pickems is pretty bloody hard. Oh my god, he's so brave, saying something everyone's thinking, but no one's willing to say. Okay, no, seriously. I think everyone agrees this section of the Pickems is really, really difficult. Let's go over our previous section quickly. Game of Legion 3-0 sadly didn't happen, but I was right in thinking they might get some matchups early that they can win. They got to 2-0, and then unfortunately couldn't make it through. But we still got 6 out of 9. Not too shabby. Cloud9 coming back for us. Vitality again coming back for us. Outsiders always seem to manage to do it. Fnatic also making it through on that last day. Mouse and Furia also in there. Very, very nicely done. Now let's go ahead and go through to our next section. We are going to be picking FaZe. Who'd have thought it? Best team in the world. They might lose a BO1. It could absolutely happen, but they're going to make it through this stage. They're just such a well-rounded team. I think they're a team that does ramp up as the event goes on, so we will take that into account going into playoffs. Next team, you can see me hovering. Yes, I'm going to go for Na'Vi. There maybe are a couple of weaknesses on this team. Electronic as the in-game leader, I think it's still somewhat figuring things out. SDY, I don't think is quite good enough to be on the top CIS team. I would love to see him maybe changed out, I think, in the future, because Na'Vi need to be a team competing for trophies. I don't know if he can quite do that for them. They should still be in the running, though, even if SDY doesn't have the level of performance you might want, because they're just such a well-rounded team outside of him. And he's still okay. He's just not quite good enough to be on a team that wants to be the best in the damn world. Next, I am going to go with Liquid. They strike me as a team that will have probably practiced super hard for this sort of event. They're a team that seem to practice a little more for the biggest events. They did that at Cologne, and that's what helped them find so much success there. I do think their style might be a bit difficult against the elite teams because they rely so much on your Kindar. And while he can have his impact and his crazy individual ability against some of the lesser squads, against the top teams, it's going to be really hard to consistently do that. But overall, they're a pretty well-structured squad. I think it makes sense that they make it through this stage. And yeah, they should just be good enough all round overall. Next, I'm going to go with Mouse. I do think Mouse make it through here. They've just got their players peaking at the right time. Exertion looks like a real smart pickup. Aggressive rifler who has been providing a lot for this team. I do expect his level will continue to be good. And I also think that has opened up Frozen to play some more of the roles he wants to play and be a bit more comfortable. And they just play really solid, fundamental CS with just a few wrinkles thrown in there. Sometimes they might do something with a little weird timing. They might group up a little earlier than you're expecting. And that seems to catch teams off guard every now and then. So I really like Mouse's chance to make it through here. The only thing that goes against them is that lack of experienced players. So far, it hasn't been an issue, but you do wonder if they start to lose 1 or 2 games, maybe that could be an issue for them. But for now, I think they should make it through this stage. Next, I am going to go with Vitality. One of the reasons I like this pick is because I feel like they've showed us some of their worst Counter-Strike already, and they've still grinded out wins. That series against OG, they had some terrible rounds in terms of team play, in terms of timings. They had huge advantages where they just gave away 1v1 fights for no reason and gave OG the chance to make it close. But they still made it happen. And I think that's what we do expect from Vitality. I doubt they're going to make a big run in the playoffs, to be honest with you. I still think there are some issues with this team. But with ZywOo playing at the level he is, Magisk is still pretty solid. Spinks, I still have some question marks about. It seems like Spinks is much better when he's allowed to play a little more actively, but he is having to play some of the more anchor spots on this team. He is having to sort of hold some tougher spots on this team, and I don't think he's proven fully that he can do that yet. But overall, I still think the positives outweigh the negatives, and they should make it. Cloud9 are my next team. Again, Shiro has been fantastic for this team. Axel has been a little underwhelming, but I think he's starting to pick up his form a little bit. And Axel was in such great form ahead of this stage of the major that I do fully expect him to bounce back. I just think they should be good enough all round, even though, again, they've showed us some shakiness. There's a reason why they are one of the favored teams to make it through, one of the biggest names at this stage, just in terms of what they've been able to do in the past with this solid lineup. And the final team, listen, man, outsiders always find a way to do it. And I actually quite like this iteration of the roster. I think they've got a couple of things going for them. James' calling style is always going to make life difficult for you. And just the way they play in general seems to really feed into beating the lesser experienced teams, making people make mistakes. And weirdly enough, there are quite a few teams here that either have brought in some lesser experienced players or just have made roster moves fairly close to the major. And those are the sorts of teams I could see really struggling against an outsiders. Because if you don't have full faith in your teammates, that's where you might make a little silly mistake in the late round. That's where the pressure might start to get to you. The other thing that this team have is Fame has been really good on some of the puggier maps. I think on Mirage specifically, Fame is an outstanding player who opens up some more options for this outsiders team so they don't always have to play super slow. So I like what this team bring, and they always just seem to grind out results. And it basically means their players don't even have to be that great to be able to get the wins. Oftentimes they can rely more on the overall strategy of the team, and the players just need to be decent to make sure they can get that over the line. So I think they will scrape it through. My 3-0 team is kind of between NIP and Heroic. So NIP, I think, are the team with the biggest range of the level that they could hit at this event. I could see NIP coming in and just being incredible with Rez's AWPing, maybe just having a nice couple of maps. Hampus is going to be really freed up here now that he's not in-game leader. He could absolutely take over some maps with his aggressive balls-to-the-wall play style. But I don't think I'm going to pick them here simply because there is that massive question mark. I think NIP could go 3-0. I think they could actually struggle. Whereas a team like Heroic, I think, have proven that they always seem to show up in this stage of the tournament. They are very well-rounded as a squad, but this bottom section of teams is already so strong that I can't put them in there. And that means I think they have got a chance of going 3-0. The question mark has been Yabi. I think they don't have any bad players on this team, and Yabi is definitely a good player, but I don't know if he's in the right roles on this squad. The nice thing for Heroic, though, is because of that ability to have good players across the board, they can absolutely just have different players step up at different moments. You expect them to be a well-rounded team. They've also had a bit of a break coming into this, so maybe some teams won't be fully prepared for them. They do strike me as a team who might change things leading up to the major, which could catch opponents off guard. So that's the reason I've got them there. And then finally, 0-3. There are a couple of options. Sprout definitely spring to mind, just as the team with the least pedigree. I think Bad News Eagles might be the worst team overall at this stage, but they're just the sort of team that are likely to win a game where someone doesn't fully prepare for them. They have this weird style where they really like to be grouped up a lot on CT's side, and they also just have players that will continue to go super aggressive. So once they get off to a good start, it can be really hard to stop them once the pressure is on you. So I think they might just scrape a win. I think Big could be a genuine 0-3 shout just because their firepower, I don't think, is great still, even though Searson had a good previous phase to the tournament, and they are still dealing with that stand-in situation. I think I am going to go with Sprout, but I don't love it. It's not an easy pick, but they just have the least pedigree. I think they have the least opportunity for a couple of their players to really carry. Like, they have players that can do it, Launex and Stare. These are good players, but they're maybe not quite on the level of the other teams. So Sprout's my 0-3, but not an easy stage to pick. Those are my pickems, though. Let's lock them in. I think we should be pretty set to get the 5 we need. Just this bottom section, the favorites should hopefully make it through. And that's what we've got to be hoping for as we continue on our road to the Diamond Coin. Let's get it, baby. Thanks for watching. Make sure to tune in for the next one. Where's my end button?